Alabama could be without a key defensive piece up front this weekend against Florida State. Let's talk about it. What is up, everybody? Clint Lamb with A to Z Sports and Cover Crimson. So Alabama could be without starting nose tackle Tim Keenan this weekend against Florida State. According to head coach Kalen DeBoer, during the SEC coaches teleconference on Wednesday, Tim Keenan might not be a full go this weekend, and based off of reports and things that we're hearing, it is possible, not a guarantee, but it is possible that he might not be available at all. And I think that that is a critical piece of information that we need to be talking about because don't get me wrong, I love Jam Miller. I think he's going to be a massive part of Alabama's running game when he returns. Obviously, a big part of that running back room. You look at Jaden Roberts and the fact that he's going to miss Saturday's game. Don't get me wrong, he's a multi-year starter, has been a really good player for Alabama, but I still feel good about Alabama's offensive line. But with what we're expecting as far as the weather and the rain and the fact that this could turn into a messy game that has limited passing, especially limited passing downfield, two elements of this game that could determine the outcome is can you establish the run and can you stop the run? And when it comes to stopping the run, the best player that Alabama has or they had last season and expected to have this year is Tim Keenan. He is a big-bodied, squatty nose tackle, very powerful. And while he does provide some pocket collapsing ability as far as being a pass rusher, his number one attribute, what he brings to the table, is being an elite run defender, one of the best run defenders in all of college football. And we know that Gus Malzahn and Florida State, they're going to want to run the football. Tommy Castellanos, he's a guy who is a very mobile quarterback, is going to strain you with his legs defensively. They got a good stable of runners. And while there's still some uncertainty as far as the offensive line and how long that's going to take to gel with 4 out of 5 starters being, transfer guys, you want to be able to stop the run, force them into uncomfortable, unfavorable situations, second and longs, third and longs. And a guy like Tim Keenan being able to stop the run, especially the inside zone, which is something that Florida State's going to want to run a lot with Gus Malzahn, not having him available, it could be a massive blow to Alabama's defense. And even if he's limited, that's still going to affect things. So either way, where does Alabama turn? Well, the number one guy, obviously, is going to be Jeremiah Beaman. James Smith is going to be that 3-tech defensive tackle. I'm sure they can move him around and do some different things with him. He's obviously going to be the biggest, most important interior piece. But Jeremiah Beaman probably is going to step up and start at the nose if Tim Keenan is unavailable, or he's going to play significant snaps if Tim Keenan is not fully healthy and able to assume a regular role. But what about behind him? Because it's not just about Jeremiah Beaman. Jeremiah Beaman was the critical rotational piece along Alabama's defensive front when it comes to the second wave of guys at nose tackle. You've got Edric Hill at defensive tackle. Between those 4 players, those are going to be your main rotation. But what happens if Jeremiah Beaman gets elevated to a starting role? Who's going to rotate with him? Well, a guy that you need to be keeping an eye on is true freshman London Simmons. We've talked about him a little bit. The coaching staff has been impressed with his progress. We even kind of tapped him early this week as a guy who could end up being a surprise contributor in meaningful action this weekend against Florida State. But now that Tim Keenan could be limited or potentially even out, London Simmons becomes all the more critical, and we have no idea really what to expect from him. He is a big-bodied guy. He's very powerful as well. Fully expect him to contribute as far as stopping the run. Is he Tim Keenan? Absolutely not. Is Jeremiah Beaman Tim Keenan? Absolutely not. But I do think that they could probably get by with it, but this is going to be something to monitor for sure because as much as Tim Keenan, he might not be a big flashy name as far as the NFL level, where he's going to be a day one draft pick. But his ability to stop the run and his, character and leadership that he brings to the table, all 3 very underrated elements, and it's going to make a massive impact on Alabama's defense this season. We've just got to wait and see what it actually is for him. We've heard lower body injury from Kalen DeBoer. Some people are reporting different things. We don't want to speculate on that too much, but here's what we do know. At bare minimum, he's going to be limited, and he could end up being out. So expect to see a lot of Jeremiah Beaman. Maybe you see some London Simmons. Maybe you see some of these bandits play a little bit more inside, maybe an LT Overton. Maybe you see some Jordan Renaud. You might see some more Kelby Collins. But this is definitely going to be something to monitor for Alabama as they enter their season opener against Florida State.